this is going to be a little bit different sort of video than what I typically do. And it's not going to be about old computer hardware or software or anything like that. It's more memorabilia related to a historic computer company, specifically Intel. I have some of my own neat stuff that I've collected over the years working there. Like this t-shirt was something that they gave out for the 50th anniversary party a while back. But recently I went to an estate sale and found some much older and frankly much cooler stuff. And I want to show some of that off, and I want to talk about it because I think it is a really, really cool and interesting collection of stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look. So I do have a couple interesting things of my own that I had previously. Many years ago, my dad worked for a moving company that did a lot of moves for Intel. And while he was there doing that, he got a couple of these keychains, which I've had and had used for many, many years. And what makes them cool is they actually have chips in them. This is an original Pentium 66 megahertz, one of those. And that is such an enormous die. It is so big. And then this is Pentium Overdrive. So I'm assuming that this was one of the ones they did make a couple overdrive processors to like socket 7 that would go in socket 5 motherboards. Or maybe this is one that would go on a socket 4 motherboard, like this would be 4. But it's interesting to note, what a couple, at least one die shrink will do for the whole thing. Because this die is so much, it's a pretty good sized die. But it's so much smaller. And it's kind of neat. You won't really be able to see it on the camera, but if you look at this closely, you can see a lot of detail on this chip. And it's pretty cool. For a long time, I used these as the key to hold the keys for the padlocks that I put on my suitcase when I'm traveling. And then I stumbled across one of them on eBay and saw that they go for like $100. So I stopped using it at that point. And then a little bit more recently than that, I got a couple of these for the Intel's 50th anniversary. And like, every proper toy collector, you get two. You have one that you keep in the packaging, and then one that you take out, another one that you get out to actually play with. Sorry, I couldn't even come close to saying that with a straight face. But none of that is what this video is about. This video is about a bunch of items that I got at an estate sale from a guy who I spoke to his daughter at the sale. He worked at Intel before they were a publicly traded company. So he was there for a long time, and he had a bunch of cool stuff, and I got a bunch of it. What drew me to the sale was the listing specifically mentioned Intel t-shirts, and so I had to get a couple of t-shirts. So there's a classic, I'm going to zoom out and hope that my camera will do the right thing. The classic Intel inside logo. This shirt has some kind of something going on down here. But this particular shirt isn't just, Intel advertising. This was to commemorate opening one of the Intel sites here. I believe this is one of the ones here in Hillsboro. Although this artist's rendition of it doesn't particularly look the way that site looks. So maybe it's just changed a lot since 1992, or this is a different D1. I'm not sure, but I thought this was a really, really cool shirt, and I had to get this one. There was another shirt that I got. Most of the shirts were for like the, family picnic day and stuff like that from particular years. And I didn't get any of those, but then I got this one just because I have questions. I have questions about about this. When the long line of IBM Panzers rumbles into town, you either cheer and join in or you eat tread. And then on the back, it just eat tread. Like, what? What? I don't know what this means. Why did this shirt exist? I am very confused. But I thought it was cool, and so I had to get it. In the intervening time between when I recorded that and when I'm now editing it, I think I've discovered the origin of that line. It comes from the October 1983 issue of PC Magazine. There's an article in it, and on page 120, that exact line appears. Now, that's the line's origin story, but I don't know why it's on a t-shirt or why it was in this collection or anything else about it. It still seems very weird. I don't get it, but you know, at least there is one more clue found along the way. There were also a bunch of plaques and things like that I didn't get. I don't know. There's one of them that had a huge chip on it. It was the first successful 80 megahertz multi-chip module or something. And that chip in the multi-chip module was, I'm not kidding, it was that big. It was enormous. There was I'm going to hang this up somewhere, presumably commemorating the 66 megahertz Pentium. Yay, we hit 66 MIPS, which I thought was really cool. The other thing, there was a bag of buttons, and a bunch of them weren't too interesting, but there were a couple of real gems in here. United Way buttons. I don't know what Cool Cash Day was. Summer Picnic, Seaside, Oregon, 1993. Another United Way. I don't know what P650 is, but it was certified in 1990. I don't know what MCO is, but it's not sold out. But the one that was awesome was Intel. Winners by design. There is gonna be some corporate meeting or something that I go to, and I'm gonna wear that button. I don't know when, but I am gonna save that for just the right moment. There was another cool piece, and this is going to come out in another video. I have a plan for this. Is this cool license plate holder? Intel 386 microprocessor, 1 million and counting. So I thought that was pretty awesome. As soon as I saw this, I thought it was cool and I knew I was going to get it. And like a second later, I formulated a clever plan. So this will come back. There will be another video where this will not so much be front and center, but it is going to definitely play a role in a future video. So I'm going to take this stuff and clear it out of the way. But this was not, historically speaking, this stuff was not the coolest of the batch. There was some other stuff that I got that is going to make a bunch more work for myself, but is awesome stuff. So there was this huge stack of like Intel corporate internal newsletters, I guess. And there are several different, they go under several different titles and several different years, and there's a bunch of stuff here. My big project, and there's a lot of these here, and the piece of work is I'm going to scan all of these, and I'm going to put them up. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put them on archive.org, and then I'm also going to put them on my GitHub. It's going to take a while to get to this, but the reason that I bought them is these need to be preserved. So I'm going to spend some time flipping through these. I'll put chapter markers where there's especially cool stuff. I'm going to go through this whole pile. So there's going to be Also some pretty aggressive editing. I don't want to make a 4-hour video of me flipping through newsletters. But there was, just in the little bit that I have looked through these, there is some stuff. I don't think that any of these are particularly technical. There are a lot of, questions and answers with people at the company about how the company is run. So the guy whose estate this was, he was moving out of, it was a really big house. It was a large property that had 2 houses on it and a barn and all this stuff. He was downsizing. My understanding is that a lot of what he did at Intel was helped open a bunch of manufacturing plants around the world. Intel, I don't know if they still do, but they had a bunch of manufacturing plants in places like various places around the Caribbean and Central America and places like that. And this guy helped set up and get going a bunch of these plants. And so a lot of these are specific to some of those regions. You got to do your somersaults to stay, limber and get some exercise. So a lot of this is, so this one, I looked at this one, there was some, they had some sports at the local plant. What to do about the, if you catch the cold, prevention, medications. If you have a fever of more than 1 week, it is absolutely necessary to visit your doctor. Yeah, that is solid advice. So the Pacesetters is the first kind of block of these. This one I think has a fabulous article in it, or maybe it's the next one. Because I've looked through some of these, but not super closely yet. This is the one. How and why to run a meeting. In our October publication, we highlighted the first part of Andy Grove's article on meetings and how they should be conducted. Now, this was long before this email or this meeting should have been an email. So this was published in November of 1983. Email was not that much of a thing, even at a company like Intel, and certainly for people working in fabs, they weren't sitting in front of a terminal sending email all day, every day. I love some of the pictures of these old equipment used in the manufacturing process and testing of things. A lot of these talk about getting our reliability numbers up and getting things going and improving the quality of stuff coming out of the fab, so there's not as much waste. There was some of the later ones of these had some really good charts. I like how it's good to know his birth sign, he's a Cancer. That seems very weird to me. Your short health test and your knowledge of human anatomy. There's your stomach. Fish is a brain food. Oh, this is true or false tests. Okay. Teeth contain mostly vitamin C. I don't think that's correct. Interesting that avocado pear in a lot of parts of the world, that's what they call an avocado. We've sort of cut that part out. I've seen a few. What is it? Tasting History with Max Miller. He did a really interesting episode about guacamole, where he talked about a lot of how the name of the avocado has changed over time. And I just were you responsible for this? Too late. 000595 is dead. Hurry, Tweezer. I don't. This comic speaks for itself, I think. And then Evelyn and Margaret Margaret dancing to it. There are a lot of things in a bunch of these magazines that you would not find in an employee publication today. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I would love to see an Intel Jones Farm variety show. Yes. I take that back. I would not love to see that. It would probably not be great. The continuing saga of Andy Grove about how to run a meeting. So Intel still does. They have an annual photography competition because I see the pictures posted around the halls. It's interesting that has been a long running Intel photography. The Intel Photographic Club was so this is when it was formed, 1983. Okay, interesting. More about manufacturing, although this looks like... Wait, what? So it's talking about... Wait a minute, I'm confused. Yeah, assembly plants. It's talking about assembly plants and Autobahn where zero rework can be considered feasible, but then it's a picture of the people working on the cafeterias? I don't... What? Where are we making chips? So that's an interesting pressure cooker autoclave. I'm not sure what's going on here, but it's got serious clamps and really heavy duty. Now, one thing that's very irritating is Intel work weeks are not ISO work weeks. So if you work at Intel and you have a Google Calendar that uses ISO work weeks, it doesn't always line up with Intel work week. Urgh. Know your benefits. So now this one, interestingly, is a totally different quality of paper. This is it's not quite newsprint kind of paper, but it's not the same as the kind of paper that's in the rest of these. This is... Intel and the computer. This has got to be, especially in this year, that's got to be a 5150 from that point of view. It's interesting. All right. So, more so all these have had some sort of bit about health and taking care of yourself. And now it's about caring for your teeth with, a very crude drawing of Grim, isn't it? The story of dentures. I don't know why that cracks me up so much. But yes, taking care of your teeth is definitely important. And I really like the cover of this one with the two chips shaking hands. But it's welcome to A3. It's good to be here. But just it's the eyebrows here. It's wait, this guy's up to no good. Welcome to A3. Yeah, I'm gonna clog all the toilets, or I don't know. But so it was transitioning from ceramic dips to plastic dips. Okay. That's a legit manufacturing change. Looking at vintage computers, you can kind of get a rough idea, older versus newer chips. Well, usually the older ones will be ceramic, the newer ones will be plastic. But something about this just, I don't know. I like this drawing, but something about it, I don't know. Never mind. I'm here talking about a major plastics at A3, a major challenge for a growing plant. Come June, A3 will embrace a new era in integrated circuit assembly. We will begin assembling integrated circuits in plastic packages. Interesting. So this was June 84 is when A3, which I still haven't figured out where that fab is or was, because I mean, presumably it's been turned into something else by now. Because generally the way that it has gone, as far as I'm aware, they did have photo badges back then. Look at that. Is that a new fab would be built, and then it would be used to make the top end stuff, and then eventually it would get rolled back to doing sort of the second tier stuff when it wasn't the cutting edge technology anymore, and then eventually it just gets turned into offices. A lot of, like, Jones Farm used to be fabs, and now it's all offices. Component engineering analysis manufacturing system. Oh my gosh, look at these terminals. I love those stands. 3 of the electronic data processing display units. I wonder what kind of make and model those terminals are, because they are. And here's some shots of them from a different angle. I wonder, does it say? On a quick skim, I don't see that it says what make or model they are, but that I'm curious about, just because that is a very striking design. More IBM PCs. And it's very interesting that every single one of these has a bunch of stuff about Intel Sports. I found that very interesting. Oh, no photo of the month on that one. I think this is, there are a lot of these, the Pacesetters. March 1985. 1985 essay competition is on its way. Okay, so this must be, this A3 must be in Barbados. So these feel like... I want to write an essay with the topic, My Life as an Integrated Circuit. That's fabulous. I love that. And then these is, what's this? Come join the Blue Silicon Sports and Social Club. That's like just stapled in. That's interesting. Featured on page 12, which this is page 12. Okay, here it is talking about it. Come join the cool club. Come be one of the cool kids. Now, in 1984, which this is, what was this? March 1985. Okay, so March 1985, I was finishing up the 4th grade. Because I'm old. Travel tips. Oh, let's take a look at these travel tips. Safety first. Hand baggage, very strict international airlines. Smoking. The aircraft cabin is divided into smoking and non-smoking areas. Ashtrays are provided in the armrest of each seat. Funny story, the first international trip I took was not very long before they stopped doing this. And I was in the very back row of the plane, and within a minute of the non-smoking light being turned off, I couldn't see first class anymore because there was just a fog. Like it was disgusting. By the time I got off the plane, and that was a flight from Atlanta to Hamburg. So it's a good long 8-hour flight, 9-hour flight. Oh yeah, it was rough. Anyway. Intel Barbados. Oh, an Intel Barbados credit union. Interesting. Back when companies used to have their own credit unions for their employees, and you had to be an employee or an immediate relative of an employee. There's a big credit union in Oregon, and maybe it's spread into Southwest Washington, called First Technology. Originally, or so I'm told, it was the Tektronix corporate credit union, and then when some regulations changed and it split off and could be its own thing, it became First Tech. So there's a lot of stuff about IBM coming to visit and stuff, and I keep seeing this, and I keep wondering about the shirt and the IBM Panzers. And I'm just, what? I want to know the story. Oh, let's look at this. Seardip Engineering Organization Chart. Ward Scott. Probably no relation to Michael Scott. Some information about blood pressure. Working a high-stress job may raise your blood pressure. Oh, let's look at on the lighter side. Either his yield fell in or the salary slips won't be ready till tomorrow. The virgin yield is up. What's with the recent innovation? These don't actually make sense. The yield report is routing. That's not a good time to pay a visit. Sauce looks fine. Personally, I like none of these. Like, even the ones that aren't some kind of weird inside joke don't, like, I don't, I guess maybe the sauce is a reference to alcohol. I don't know. That is not funny. Ooh, a scanning electron microscope. That's cool. Oh, wow. And then, like, sugarcane spores. And then a lead frame. Wow. That is pretty cool. So with some of the stuff like that and a bunch of these other stories, that is why, like, all of this stuff really needs to be scanned. I'm actually excited, even though this is going to be a long project. I'm very excited to get to do that project and get all that done. One of these, July 85. So this is, I think there's only, like, after this one, I think there's only like 2 more of these. Inputs, materials, money, management. Inputs, men, women, machines, output, product. All right. I mean, it's kind of a cool drawing, but I feel like it's a little odd. It seems to be a running theme in a lot of this is it's just a little odd. And some of the pictures are really just so washed out. You know, like there's almost no contrast. And I'm trying to decide if it's the photographs themselves or if it's the printing process that was used with this. So this has got to be the way we looked 1 year ago. So this must be that fab from a aerial view of some sort a year before September 85. Interesting. Yes, the classic, the little power strip thing that sits underneath and it's an Amdec monitor too, where you've got the master switch and then the independent switches for the computer, the monitor, your printer, all the stuff. I actually have a couple of these that I still use to this day. Talking about air conditioning. Oh, so this is when the security entrance finally got air conditioning, which I can see if you're out in this metal box out in the sun in Barbados, it gets warm there. Yeah, air conditioning seems like a feature. I'm not sure what kind of schmutz is on the cover of this one. What was that? A recipe for a Christmas cake. So this it's Cartoons to Remember. So it's a reprint, because I was going to say, I swear that comic was just in like this previous issue. Or maybe it was a different one. Anyway. Already. Reset. what? So the computer is drunk from overindulging on oil, and what is this? Like, how? I don't. I can't even. Wow, that is all right. So that what a great note to end the collection of Pacesetters on. And then the next set is Inteleads. And these overlap in time because these started January, March 83, and this is August 83. So I'm going to set those off to the side. And it seems like these are completely different kind of material inside. And I'm not sure like who these were made for. I mean, those other ones were made for presumably for the people in Barbados. I'm interested about... Okay, so first I notice Harris announces the 80C86, so this would be the CMOS version of an 8086. And then Intel Military scores another coup. I feel like that is a very weird way of saying this. What is this? Oh, okay, so this is a group within Intel that makes parts specifically for the military. That I feel like this is a thing now that Intel attorneys would be like, no, you can't say that. Say that some other way. I don't care what you actually are trying to say, but you got to say it some other way. Okay, microprocessor operation is MIPO. I keep wondering about this button, this MCO, and I wonder if looking through some of this, we can figure out what MCO is. Wow, look at this. If you ever doubted the importance of bunny suits and clean room conditions in the fab, look at the accompanying photos. Shown are two electron micrographs of the same defective Intel read-only memory die. The top photo is magnified about 600 times, the bottom about 1,300 times actual size. The deep trough cutting across the chip is the defect which rendered the chip inoperable. Wow, that's pretty cool. Keep your bunny suit on. Japan recently announced a national project to build fifth-generation computers largely oriented towards artificial intelligence applications. Japan's goal is to become the leader in this area, getting ahead of the U.S. What is Intel's position considering this announcement? That's, this is another one of those cases of everything old is new again. I won't be surprised if on the back of one of these there's a question about VR. To order your copy of High Output Management by Andy Grove, I wonder. Oh, can I still send? Oh, offer expires October 14th, 1983. Dang it! Oh, so this is the big job facing engineers and designers in the 1980s is how to make all the computer boxes invented in the 70s talk to each other. So how to network and connect computers. I wonder what's driving this graphics display on here. Like that doesn't even have the front plate on that monitor, and ooh, that is a curved screen. So this article about connecting computers is talking about using a 186 computer with some LAN components. Wow, Intel had networking components way back in September 1983. I have used a lot of those various LAN cards over the years, dating way back. So this is interesting. Why is the sabbatical system based solely on seniority? Why isn't merit considered in determining the length and or frequency of leaves?
So it's interesting. The sabbatical program, at least in the time while I've been there, has gone through a couple changes, but it's basically after a certain amount of time, you get a sabbatical. There isn't any other thing to it. I wonder, I mean, talking about it being based on seniority, I wonder if it was always that way or if, oh yeah, it was designed as a benefit for employees who have worked at Intel for at least 7 years. So yeah, at least it used to be every 7 years you got a 2-month sabbatical. It's changed a bit since then, but it's the same kind of idea. Ooh. With Intel's 150 millimeter wafer, it's no contest. 150 millimeter wafer reaches ping pong paddle proportions. Oh, someone gets serious points for the alliteration there. I strongly approve of that. So there's an 8086 wafer. That is much smaller. I mean, just kind of gauging it, that wafer is probably about that big. Whereas the 150 would be like that big. So there's a lot more chips on the much larger wafer. Now that to me looks like an old logo from my local state here. The lottery scratch tickets from many years ago. There it is. Fab 7 introduces Super Wafer. Interesting. Oh yeah. So here you go. So it's 6 inches the new size, 4 inches. Yeah, so that's about right. It's about that other wafer was about 4 inches. All right, well, here's a hard-hitting question. Why don't copiers copy blue letterhead stationery? One of the copiers in my building does if you press the darker button, but the quality of the copy is not very good. Why doesn't Intel switch to black letterhead? Oh, now this actually is a legit question. Osborne Computer Company recently filed for bankruptcy. The company owes creditors up to $1 million for their manufacturing parts. Now, I guess in 1983, $1 million was a pile of money. Anyway, because of this, Osborne's creditors could have money problems. Would Intel have money problems if a company that owed it money went bankrupt? How long can the market for such Intel products as microprocessors and memory devices last? Will the demand for Intel chips slow down? I feel like someone asks this question probably at every, earnings announcement meeting for every chips company. 1983. It's been 40 years. I think there's still a pretty strong market for microprocessors and memory devices. Companies are selling hundreds of billions of dollars of that stuff every year. So, yes, things will be okay for someone. So, oh wait, MCO products. This was my button. Oh, maybe the mystery of what MCO is will be solved. 25 ways to spend a bonus. Take a Christmas trip to Lake Tahoe, which I went to Lake Tahoe once many years ago, but just kind of passed through. I didn't spend very much time there. It's a beautiful place in Northern California. Pay off my car service bills. Use it for spending money on my sabbatical. See, it's a thing people think about. Oh, wait, here we go. MCO. Does this say on here anywhere? Ah, there it is. Microcontroller operation. So that's what the mystery MCO is that's not sold out. So microcontrollers, huge market that Intel had been. I don't know that Intel still is involved in that market particularly, but back in the day, MCS 48. Most people know them just by the numbers. Would be the 8048. I don't know very much about that architecture. MCS 51. People probably know of the 8051, and there's at least an 80251. I did a project in college using an 8051 and an MCS 96 16-bit controller. I am not familiar with that. I don't know what that is, or if it's a thing that still exists, or any of it. Intel chips board the space shuttle. That's interesting. I wonder. I wish you could tell what some of the chips were that's on there. The SC1 computer. Oh, there's another image of it. Oh, SC1 spacecraft computer. Okay, there you go. Interesting. I'm gonna have to look that up. I am curious what all that is. Although it says it's designed around militarized versions of the 8086, 8087, and 8089. I don't know what an 8089 is. Intel passes $1 billion mark. $1 billion in sales. I don't even know. I remember getting a little plaque or something that I might have somewhere when they had a $40 billion quarter. So I guess things had scaled up since 1984. All right, moving on to March 1984. This play to win thing again. It really looks like the old Oregon Lottery logo. Wow, what is going on here? Caltech's Charles Seitz with the Cosmic Cube. What is this? Using Intel shorten time. Is this some kind of super? Whoa! 64 8086 microprocessors arranged in an 8x8 square. All microprocessors work simultaneously, each on a different part of a large numerical problem. So, wow, that is really cool. It's 64 8086s in, a massive multiprocessor system. I wonder, that is really cool. I wonder what kind of system software this ran, what the development environment was like. That is interesting. So here, for instance, Caltech plans to ask a supercomputer a question that would take 365 days of its time to solve. When the Cosmic Cube is fully operational, it should solve the same problem in a matter of hours. Now, when you see things like this of we're making this awesome thing and it's going to be so fast, I'm always curious to come back later after they've actually made the thing and did it live up to those expectations. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So here's the thing about Olivetti processor, or about Olivetti. I've featured a couple Olivetti computers rebadged as AT&T PC6300s on the channel. So the PC6300 is a rebadged I want to say Olivetti M24. So this is talking about the M20, also using an 8086. Although they are planning to move on to 286s and 386s. That's interesting to see. Oh! April 1984, personnel earns the name Human Resources. See page 12. They've earned what is now the most dreaded name at any corporation. Bum, bum, bum. Interesting. Oh, and Kim Weiler also in Oregon. I wonder what site this is. July 1984. Intel's Premier process for DRAMs and beyond, CHMOS, which I don't remember what the H. I know it's complementary something metal oxide semiconductor, but I don't remember what the H is. IMAX, not to be confused with the iMac or with Emacs. Complementary high performance metal oxide semiconductor. Oh, wow. It's CMOS++. 2 megabyte boards. So is that 2 megabyte boards or is it 2 megabyte boards? Hyphenation matters. Of 256K DRAMs. Look at all those chips. All rotometers and gauges are for indication only. What else would what else would it be for? 5-year service award watches. That is a program that must have been done away with. I would expect that if any of these watches that still exist out in the world that are still functional are probably very, very highly collectible. What is this? So that looks like, looking at the branding on this, that looks like televideo. So is this hooked up as a terminal to whatever this Intel branded computer is that looks like it's got 2 full height 5 1/4 inch drives? What is this? Here's a joke, a comic that actually makes sense. I don't find it terribly funny, but it actually makes sense. No, sir, I'm not complaining about the age of our computer. I'm just saying it's difficult to find stores that carry those kinds of vacuum tubes. Wah, wah. What is this? Operation Skywalker flies high. Luke Skywalker left stands for high line yields, and Darth Vader is the enemy of high line yields. What? Oh my gosh, look at these t-shirts. That is amazing because it's got chips. It's hard to tell what is going on there. It's got chips on it, but it's in the shape of an X-Wing with maybe a wafer in the background representing the Death Star. Oh my gosh. How much copyright infringement can you have? That is now one of those t-shirts. Yeah, those would be, I wonder if any of those still exist in the world. Those are fabulous. I love that. Now, ironically, transitioning from the bit about the watch before, where can I get my Intel 5-year service award watch repaired? Where can I get my Chroma watch repaired? So here's where you can say. So if you still have one of those watches, you might still be able to get it repaired here. Seems unlikely. All right. January 1985, bringing in a new year. That is a cool advertisement. Picture of a man standing on a giant semiconductor chip was featured in an Intel Human Resources recruiting ad that recently won an Excellence in Advertising Award from Electronic Engineering Times and an award from the Society of Illustrators of Los Angeles. That is, I think I've seen that before. That is a pretty cool drawing. Intel addresses the 32-bit market. So this has got to be about the 386. Intel is on schedule to formally introduce its 80386 32-bit microprocessor in the second half of 1985. So talking about Unix for 80286 systems, so that would surely be Xenix, because I don't know of any other Unix back in the day that ran on 286s. I know that there are flavors of BSD in more recent times that run on 286s. The 286, has a memory management unit, but it is different than the page memory management model that everything after it used in any processor architecture. It was a completely different kind of system, so it did not get very much operating system support. So more about the watches. Why doesn't the new Women's Service Award watch have an alarm? Can a new women's watch with an alarm be chosen? And can I trade mine in when this occurs? Intel Switch Service Award watch styles in July. In our search for a new watch, we tried to find the best combination of style, size, especially in the women's watch, features, and reliability. Because we couldn't find a women's digital watch that had the same features as the men's watch without being too bulky, we changed to analog watches. This was the best compromise we could find. Unfortunately, they do not have an alarm. Sorry, ladies. All right, on to April 1985. Well, see, here's Xenix right here. OpenNet. I don't know what OpenNet is. Obviously was a huge market success. Now I have never seen email written like that. Lowercase e, all caps mail. And is this like some specific, that must be some specific product that is, I feel like weird capitalization of a common use word is a really hard trademark to enforce. OpenNet opens the networking market. So it's some kind of, I'll have to read about this more some other time. I'm kind of curious. So there's some more of those Intel branded computers in the background. What the heck are these? I'm very curious about that because I don't know that I have ever seen one of those in photographs or in real life ever. So, question 1, is Intel doing anything for the employees affected by the layoffs? Question 3, why aren't there magazines in Intel lobbies? All right. Now this one, I think this is a terrific photograph. Like the three guys working on, including Pat Gelsinger, current CEO of Intel, looking at this blown up die photograph of the 80386. That is a pretty cool picture from September 1985. So this would have been around the time when it was announced or maybe first started sampling, because this issue from April was talking about going to be announced soon. So I don't know how much farther along it was. September 1985, I was just starting the 6th grade, so I was not in tune with what was going on with microprocessors. ITT Courier Workstation features Intel products, uses a 286, runs Xenix, multi-bus products. I wonder, interesting. I've seen these somewhere. Where have I seen these? Anyway. Oh, and then here's the article about the 386 and its development. Because it always helps to debug something when there's a bunch of people standing behind you staring over your shoulder. Oh. So, I did these out of order. This is September 85 and this is July 85. So in between, when the chips are down, layoffs announced, Fab 2 closing, why recent actions were necessary. See, everything is cyclical. Everything that's old is new again. All right, so this actually made me laugh because I know a bunch of people who worked at Intel who met while working at Intel and then got married. I feel like this is a conversation they could have had. If it's all the same to you, I'd rather call this dinner for two than our one-on-one, because this is usually what you call the meetings with you and just your manager. All right, I'm officially a total dork because that was funny to me. And then November, so we had September 85, and then a big jump to November 1986. Intel protects its microcode. So this, I wonder what chip that is. Presumably a 386. By then, I wonder what sort of means to protect the microcode. There was, Q3 financial results. Wow. ISDN. All the way. Really? I didn't realize that. I guess that's about. Okay. I guess that's about right. Never really materialized for people at home that much. ISDN. The joke was it still does nothing. It's actually integrated subscriber digital network, I think. Does it say in here? I don't see that it breaks it out. No, it just uses the acronym. It doesn't say what it actually means. I'm pretty sure. Oh, this is interesting. So this is about, so the thing about protects the microcode is about some case about the V20, which is funny. I'm going to have a future video where I am going to use a V20. And there was a case where, oh, right. So NEC had, So the thing that's curious about this is the claim was that, oh no, so we'll have to look this back up. I mean, this is a well-known case that I don't remember the details of, that, so NEC had made an 8086 clone and had directly copied, apparently, the Intel microcode from the 8086, but then when the V20 came along, it is not, because they developed their own for the V20, and that's why the V20 is faster than an 8086 and includes some instructions that were introduced in the 186 and the 286, and the V20 also has a mode where it can, I want to say, emulate an 8080, maybe? It has some other stuff going on. Interesting. So this is a whole big what is this? 5-page article about that lawsuit. Okay. Oh, so between September 1985 and November 1986, there is no longer a right to know. And that is the last one of those that I have. And then these other two are Intel Scope. And this one was interesting. I want to look more about this. Some fire in Rustan. I don't know where that is. But this is a whole big thing about safety. And the site in Manila. So I wonder if this was one of the places where the guy who had the estate sale, I wonder if this was one of the plants that he helped get going. Because this is more like those other, the Pacesetter magazines, where it's more sort of local interest than Go Team Go for the company in general. It sort of just has a different kind of feel. That is a fabulous, when accidents occur, like what? This is you got run over by a bus and then the bus backed over you. Home accidents. Do you cause them or prevent them? I think I think it is very well known that I somewhat famously caused them. Fire, all kinds of fire hazards, smoking. If you've got those propane tanks stored in your house, unattended stove or flat iron. Interesting. That must be because I noticed this is mentioned Manila a lot, so maybe they call that a flat. We just call it an iron in the U.S. Interesting. We have Intel, A Year in Retrospect, 1983, 1984. Wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I think you mean Happy Holidays. All right, I basically said that with a straight face. Oh, new look cafeteria. Brighter service too. Yeah, so these tend to have a really different feel to it than the Hi Kitty, than the Inteleads magazines. They're much more like local interest and the people instead of I don't know, trying to cheer people on and be excited about the corporation. It's just a totally different feel. Interesting. Okay, well these were really super cool. I'm very happy to have them in my collection. There was a total of 35 of these magazines of the various ones, and there was, I want to say, 4 of those were duplicates of ones that were in here. So I didn't show the dupes, so there should have only been 31. And that's it for the magazines, or the newsletters, whatever you want to call them. I am going to work on getting these all scanned. I do have a list of things to scan, but these should be, just because of the way that they're bound, should be pretty easy to scan without damaging them on just a regular flatbed scanner. I won't have to borrow anyone's fancy book scanning contraption.
There were a couple other things that I picked up at that estate sale that I didn't include in this video. There were 2 VHS tapes that I picked up that just say, on the side, they just say Intel 5490. I did look at them. I even recorded with this VCR back here. I even had like a whole bit that I did. But they're just a recording of someone's retirement party, and I don't know. There wasn't anything particularly private in it or anything. It felt weird, and it didn't really feel like something that I should include in this video. I don't know. I felt weird about it, so I decided to, even though I put a lot of effort and stuff into recording and blah blah, I just decided to cut it. It was a really great find. I'm super, super excited about it and about doing that project. Once I start, I will put a pinned comment in the comments section with links to my GitHub, to the GitHub repository where I'm going to start putting the videos. I have done a little bit more research since I recorded the rest of it. There is a university in California that has a bunch of the Inteleads issues in their collection, but it's not available online. I cannot find any of this stuff available online, so I feel like I'm really going to give something back with this, and I'm pretty excited about it. Next up, I'm finally going to get to another one of the things from my teaser trailer that I released way back in January. I'm going to start looking at this. I really don't even know what it is, other than a thing with a couple actual legit Shugart drives in it. No clue. We'll try to figure it out together. If you've enjoyed this video, I would really encourage you to click the like button. The channel has just exploded over the last month or so, and I would really like to keep that momentum going, especially if you've stayed with this video this long, because I know it's way longer than most of my videos. And if you're interested in seeing this or any other future content, I really encourage you to click the subscribe button. And until next time, try to remember the good stuff.